Greetings, travelers. Tonight, we step away from the noise of the present to explore the life cycle of a star. We will focus specifically on the slow, inevitable pressure of gravity and the radiant transition from darkness into light. Before we begin, settle into your space. Adjust your pillows, let your shoulders drop, and find a position of absolute comfort. You are safe here. As we prepare to leave this era behind, I invite you to share in the comments which corner of the world you are listening from and what the hour is for you right now. Now, let us take a slow breath and begin our journey into the life cycle of a star. You are standing within the central observation chamber of the Chronos Observatory. It is a room of solid, lead-shielded walls and heavy circular windows made of reinforced quartz. Outside, there is no sun. There are no planets. There is only the vast towering shadow of a giant molecular cloud. It stretches for light years in every direction. A pillar of dark hydrogen and silicate dust that is older than time itself. The temperature outside is nearly absolute zero, but inside, the air is thick and warm. You hear the rhythmic, low-frequency hum of the ship's life support systems, a steady vibration that you feel through the soles of your leather boots. You walk toward the primary console. The floor is made of polished dark wood, and it creaks ever so slightly under your weight. You reach out a hand to touch the metal edge of the dashboard. It is cool and smooth. You take a slow breath. The air smells faintly of beeswax and ozone. You are the only person here, but you are not lonely. You are the guardian of this cold nursery. You watch a single point of absolute blackness in the center of the viewport, where the dust is so thick that not even the light of the distant galaxy can pierce through it. This is where it will begin. It is time to begin your first maintenance cycle. You reach into the pocket of your wool waistcoat and pull out a small brass-handled bolometer. It is a delicate instrument used to measure the faintest traces of heat in the deep dark. You set it down on a velvet-lined tray on the console. The click of the metal against the wood is sharp and satisfying. You take a small, soft cloth from a drawer and begin to polish the exterior lens of the device. You move your hand in slow, rhythmic circles, focusing on the way the light from the interior lamps glints off the brass. Once the lens is clear, you begin to calibrate the dials. You turn the first knob. It makes a soft, mechanical click for every degree of movement. 1, 2, 3. You are searching for the sub-millimeter waves that signal the collapse of the cloud. You watch the needle on the paper chart recorder. It is a thin, silver arm that leaves a trail of black ink on a rotating drum. You listen to the steady, mechanical scritch of the pen. Everything in your station is working exactly as it should. You are safe, and the record is being kept. You look back out into the void. A distant shockwave, perhaps the echo of a star that died 1,000,000 years ago, has just reached your sector. You do not see it, but you feel it in the subtle shift of the ship's gravitational sensors. This is the gene's instability. The gas in the dark cloud is no longer pushing outward. The weight of the dust has become too great, and the cloud is beginning to fall inward. It is a collapse so slow that a human life would not notice it. But through your windows, you see the silhouettes of the dust pillars begin to sharpen. You walk to a small cast-iron stove in the corner of the room. You pick up a heavy metal poker and stir the embers inside. You feel the sudden wave of dry heat against your face as the coals glow a bright, deep orange. The smell of burning wood fills the cabin, grounding you in the present moment. You add a single log of cedar and watch as the flames begin to lick the bark. You are a small, warm point of life in a universe of cold gas. The cloud outside is beginning to gather its mass, drawing the darkness toward a single, invisible center. As the hydrogen atoms fall toward the center of the cloud, they begin to move faster. They bump and jostle against one another in the dark. This motion creates friction, and friction creates the first traces of heat. You look at your infrared monitor. The display is a deep, dark blue, but in the very center, a tiny pale smudge of orange has appeared. This is a Bok globule. It is a cocoon of gas, hiding the secret of a new sun. You can almost hear the deep, subsonic groan of the gravity well as it deepens, a vibration that makes the glass of your water carafe ripple. You pick up a small, silver-handled wrench from your toolkit. One of the copper pipes along the wall is vibrating with the increased gravitational pull. You find the loose bolt and fit the wrench over it. You turn it slowly, feeling the resistance of the metal. You tighten it until the vibration stops, leaving only the quiet, steady hum of the observatory. You run your fingers along the smooth, cool copper. You are maintaining the order of your sanctuary while the universe outside creates a new order of its own. 10,000 years of observation have passed, though for you, it has felt like a single quiet afternoon. The central mass has become a protostar. It is now a brilliant, glowing ball of amber light, though it is still hidden behind a thick, swirling disk of dust. You watch as the disk spins faster and faster, shedding its outer layers into space. You see the bipolar jets, the Herbig-Haro objects, shooting out from the poles of the young sun like pillars of blue fire. The star is not yet alive, but it is breathing. You sit back in your heavy, leather-lined chair. You feel the weight of your body settling into the cushions. You pick up your logbook and a fountain pen. You write out the words 10,000 Kelvin in a slow, careful hand. You focus on the shape of the letters and the way the ink dries on the page. The amber light from the viewport spills into the room, casting long, soft shadows across the floorboards. You are witnessing the birth of a sun. You take a slow, deep breath, and as the light of the protostar pulses gently, you feel the peace of the deep cosmos. The protostar has entered a period of adolescent transition known as the T-Tauri phase. Outside your viewport, the universe is a chaotic theater of light and motion. The young sun is breathing in great, violent gasps, emitting powerful stellar winds that act as a celestial broom. You watch as these winds push against the remaining curtains of the molecular cloud, clearing away the dust and gas to reveal the dark, empty space beyond. It is the first time the star has truly seen the galaxy, and the galaxy has seen it. You hear a new sound against the outer hull of the observatory. It is a persistent, abrasive scrubbing, like the sound of fine sand being blown against a stone wall. This is the solar wind, a stream of high-energy particles colliding with your magnetic shields. You move to the secondary control panel to perform a necessary adjustment. You grasp a heavy notched dial made of cold steel. You turn it slowly to the right, feeling each individual click in the palm of your hand. 1, 2, 3. You are strengthening the magnetic envelope that protects your sanctuary. The smell of ionized ozone drifts through the air, sharp and clean, reminding you of the power that is being unleashed just a few million miles away. Once the dial is set, the scrubbing sound softens to a gentle, rhythmic hiss. The pressure at the center of the star has reached a critical, staggering threshold. Gravity has crushed the hydrogen atoms so tightly that they can no longer resist. Within the core, the temperature has climbed to 15 million degrees Celsius. Suddenly, the first proton-proton chain reaction begins. This is the moment of ignition, the birth of true nuclear fusion. The star is no longer merely collapsing, it is now generating its own light and heat from within. A surge of golden radiance floods the observation chamber, turning the dark wood of the floor into a sea of amber. You feel a sudden, deep warmth against the glass of the viewport. You reach out and place your hand near the pane, not touching it, but feeling the vibrant energy radiating through. It is a steady, pulsing heat, like the heartbeat of a living thing. You walk over to your desk and open a large, leather-bound ledger. The paper is thick and smells of old forest. You pick up a silver fountain pen and record the spectral classification, Class G2V. You write out the words main sequence in a slow, elegant script, focusing on the way the ink saturates the heavy paper. The star has achieved hydrostatic equilibrium. The inward pull of gravity is now perfectly balanced by the outward push of the nuclear furnace. It is a state of perfect golden grace. The star has now settled into its long midlife, a period of stability that will last for 10 billion years. The frantic energy of its youth has disappeared, replaced by a constant, unwavering glow. You find yourself falling into the comfortable rhythms of the long-duration watch. The observatory is silent, save for the soft, mechanical tick-tick-tick of the long case clock in the corner. You sit at your small wooden table and take out a pocket watch. It is an heirloom piece, made of gold and white enamel. You take a small, delicate screwdriver and begin a maintenance loop. You carefully remove the back casing, revealing the intricate web of gears and springs inside. You use a single drop of fine oil to lubricate the escapement. You move with extreme care, your breath slow and even. The task is repetitive and demands your full attention, drawing your mind away from the vastness of the cosmos and into the small, mechanical world of the watch. Outside, the sun continues its silent work, fusing millions of tons of hydrogen every second. But here, in your sanctuary, the only thing that matters is the smooth movement of the gears. You replace the cover and wind the watch, feeling the satisfying tension of the mainspring. As the eons pass, the light of the sun becomes a permanent fixture in your life. It spills through the quartz windows, illuminating the dust motes that dance in the air of the cabin. You have spent a great deal of time organizing your library, a collection of star charts and scientific treatises bound in vellum and calfskin. You pick up a volume on stellar evolution and run your fingers over the embossed title. The leather is soft and worn, carrying the faint scent of sun-warmed dust. You decide to clean your spectacles, a task you perform every day at this hour. You take a soft silk cloth and breathe a small puff of air onto the lenses. You wipe them in slow, deliberate circles, focusing on the clarity of the glass. Once they are spotless, you slide them back onto the bridge of your nose and look out at the sun. It is a magnificent, constant companion. You check the internal barometer of the ship, a glass tube filled with silver mercury. You tap the glass gently with one finger, watching the meniscus settle. The pressure is stable. Your isolation is absolute, but it is a safe, curated isolation. You have everything you need. You are the witness to a billion-year peace. Nothing in the universe lasts forever, not even the stability of a star. After 10 billion years of constant fusion, the hydrogen in the core is beginning to run thin. The nuclear furnace is flickering. You notice the change first in the quality of the light. It is shifting from a bright, confident gold to a deeper, more heavy orange. The star is beginning to lose its internal support. Gravity, ever patient and ever present, begins to win the tug of war once again. The core begins to shrink and heat up, even as the outer layers start to drift outward. You hear a low-frequency groan from the ship's reactor, a sound like a distant, underground bell. It is time to perform a critical maintenance task. You must replace the cooling rods in the primary observation reactor to compensate for the increasing heat. You put on a pair of thick, insulated gloves made of heavy canvas. You move to the reactor housing and pull the lever to release the first rod. It slides out with a metallic hiss. You feel the weight of the new rod as you slide it into the slot, hearing the solid clunk as it locks into place. 1, 2, 3. You are preparing your sanctuary for the transition. The star is about to change, and the long golden peace is coming to an end. The star has reached a threshold of instability that marks the beginning of its final movements. In the core, the hydrogen fuel is exhausted, and the inward pressure of gravity has forced the shell around the core to ignite. You look out of your viewport and see that the sun is no longer a stable golden orb. It is swelling. It is growing larger with every passing century, a massive, bloated sphere of deep crimson light that now fills nearly half of the visible sky. The light in your cabin has changed to a thick, heavy orange, casting long and distorted shadows across the wooden floorboards. You feel the increase in temperature against your skin. It is a dry, persistent heat that makes the wood of your desk feel warm to the touch. You must now perform a critical adjustment to the observatory's position. You move to the navigation quadrant a heavy instrument made of cold iron and polished brass. You grasp the large circular wheel and begin to turn it. It moves with a slow, grinding resistance, and you feel the vibrations in your shoulders as the ship's thrusters nudge you further back into the dark. You are moving to a more distant Lagrange point to maintain a safe distance from the expanding surface of the star. 1 rotation, 2 rotations, 3. You watch the digital readout as the distance numbers climb, ensuring your sanctuary remains outside the reach of the searing plasma. The smell of hot metal and grease from the wheel's gears fills the air. It is a heavy, industrial scent that makes the cabin feel solid and secure. Once the ship is stabilized in its new orbit, you sit back and watch the red giant continue its slow and majestic expansion. As the sun continues to swell, it reaches the orbits of the inner planets. You watch as the world that was once the first planet is slowly engulfed by the outer atmosphere of the star. There is no sound in the vacuum, but your seismic sensors pick up a deep, low-frequency groan, the sound of a planet's crust shattering under the extreme tidal forces and the staggering heat. It is the sound of history being unmade. The light from the star is now so bright that you must engage the secondary lead shutters. You reach for the manual crank beside the window. You turn the crank in a steady, rhythmic motion. You listen to the click, clack, click of the ratchets as the heavy plates slide into place, leaving only a narrow slice of glass for observation. The movement is repetitive and requires a consistent effort, and you find yourself timing your breaths to the rhythm of the crank. Once the shutters are set, the room becomes much darker and cooler. You turn to your archives, a series of metal cabinets filled with planetary manifests. You take out a single folder and begin to organize the datasheets. You use a small, wooden-handled stamp to mark each page as archived. The soft thud of the stamp against the paper is the only sound in the quiet room. You are cataloging the death of worlds while remaining perfectly safe within your shielded walls. The smell of old paper and ink is a comforting reminder of the permanence of your record, even as the planets themselves vanish into the fire. The pressure in the star's core has reached a point of absolute crisis. The temperature has climbed to 100 million degrees, and for a single, terrifying moment, the helium in the core ignites all at once. This is the helium flash. Although it happens deep within the star, the energy released is equivalent to the light of an entire galaxy. You see a sudden, blinding spike on your monitors, and a flash of brilliant, blue-white light leaks through the edges of your shutters. The ship's computer emits a soft, melodic chime to indicate that the light sensors have automatically reset to protect the delicate optical systems. You must now perform a maintenance loop on the external sensor array. You pick up a small, handheld diagnostic tool and begin to check the status of the light-sensitive diodes. You move the tool along the length of the internal circuitry, watching the small green lights flicker as each component is verified. You focus on the steady green glow, letting the repetitive nature of the task calm your mind after the sudden violence of the flash. The air in the cabin is still and silent. You take a slow, deep breath, tasting the clean, filtered oxygen. Outside, the star has survived the flash and is now beginning to fuse helium into carbon. It has found a temporary new balance, but the piece is fragile. You put the diagnostic tool back into its velvet-lined case and lock the latches with a satisfying snap. You are the silent observer of a cosmic struggle, tucked away in your quiet corner of the universe. The star has entered the asymptotic giant branch phase. It is no longer a steady light. It has begun to pulse like a giant, slow-moving heart. Every few thousand years, the star undergoes a thermal pulse, a rhythmic contraction and expansion that sends massive ripples through its outer layers. With each pulse, the star dredges up the carbon and oxygen it has created in its core and pushes it toward the surface. You can see the visual evidence of this as dark clouds of stardust begin to billow away from the sun, forming a shimmering, opaque veil of soot and silicate. You hear a soft, rhythmic thumping against the hull, the sound of the star's pulsations vibrating through the very fabric of space and into your ship. It is a slow, hypnotic beat, occurring once every several minutes. You move to the sampling chamber to collect a fragment of this new dust. You operate a mechanical arm using a set of delicate joysticks. You watch through a magnifying lens as the arm reaches out and captures a microscopic grain of carbon-12. You bring the sample inside and place it under a microscope. You focus the lens, turning the small, knurled knob until the crystal structure of the dust becomes clear. It is a tiny, jagged diamond of cosmic history. You spend a long time looking at the sample, fascinated by the fact that this dust will one day become the building blocks of new planets and perhaps even new life. You are sifting through the ashes of a sun, and the work is slow and peaceful. The atmosphere within your observatory has grown heavy with the weight of the eons you have witnessed. The light from the star is now a deep, dusty maroon, filtered through the thick clouds of carbon and oxygen that surround it. You sit at your desk and prepare to update the final chapters of your stellar ledger. You take a small metal sharpener and begin to sharpen your graphite pencils. You listen to the crisp, wooden shavings falling into the tray, and you feel the smooth, cool texture of the pencil in your hand. You write slowly, recording the increasing mass loss of the star. You use no abbreviations, writing out every number and every unit of measure in full. 700 million kilometers, 10,000 years. The act of writing is a grounding ritual, a way to make sense of the vast scales of time and space. You notice a small brass clock on your desk has begun to run slow. You pick it up and turn the small serrated key on the back. You feel the tension of the spring growing tighter with every turn. Once it is wound, you set it back down and listen to its steady, confident tick-tick-tick. The star outside is dying, shedding its skin like a silk veil. But inside your sanctuary, the time is kept with perfect precision. You take a final deep breath and close your ledger for the night. You are ready for the final transformation of the sun into a shimmering nebula. The thermal pulses of the star have finally reached their crescendo. You look out from your sanctuary and witness the ultimate shedding of the sun's outer layers. It is not an explosion, but a gentle, majestic drifting. The star is casting off its colorful robes of hydrogen and helium, sending them out into the void at 20 kilometers per second. It looks like a translucent, shimmering silk veil expanding in every direction. The maroon light of the red giant is being replaced by a strange, ethereal clarity as the obscuring dust begins to thin. You notice that a fine layer of crystalline soot has settled on the interior surface of the primary viewport. It is time for a maintenance loop. You reach for a specialized vacuum brush with a handle carved from dark walnut. You move the brush in slow, vertical strokes across the glass, listening to the soft, rhythmic hiss of the suction. You focus on the path of the bristles, ensuring that every microscopic grain of carbon is removed. The texture of the wood handle is warm and solid in your grip. Once the glass is perfectly clear, you put the brush back into its padded leather case and secure the brass latch with a quiet click. The view of the expanding nebula is now sharp and unobstructed. You are the only soul watching this slow-motion departure, safe and undisturbed within your lead-shielded walls. As the outer layers drift further away, they reveal the hot inner core of the star. This core is now so intense that it emits a flood of ultraviolet radiation. You cannot see this light directly, but you see its effect on the gas of the nebula. The hydrogen begins to glow a vibrant, ghostly green, and the oxygen shimmers with a deep, royal purple. This is the Planetary Nebula, a cosmic masterpiece of color and light that will last for only 10,000 years, a mere heartbeat in the life of the universe. The cabin is filled with a soft neon radiance that makes the brass instruments on your desk glow with an otherworldly light. You move to the spectroscope, a heavy instrument housed in a casing of brushed aluminum. You must adjust the prisms to capture the exact wavelength of the glowing gas. You turn a small, knurled silver knob, feeling the delicate resistance of the internal gears. You watch as the rainbow of stellar light is split into distinct, sharp lines of color. You record the presence of neon and nitrogen in your ledger, writing out the words 656 nanometers in full. The air in the room is cool and carries the faint metallic scent of the cooling system. You are a chronicler of light, meticulously documenting the chemical signature of a dying sun, while the ship's hull hums a low, comforting song of safety. The nebula has expanded so far that it is now a distant, translucent shell. At the center of this cosmic cathedral, the core of the star is finally exposed. It is a white dwarf. It is no larger than the Earth you once knew, but it contains the mass of an entire sun. It is a tiny, brilliant point of blue-white light, glowing with the residual heat of 1 billion years of fusion. It is no longer creating energy, it is simply cooling, a cosmic ember that will take trillions of years to go dark. The light it casts into your room is steady, sharp, and cold. You decide to perform a maintenance task on your mechanical timer. It is a beautiful device of brass and glass that tracks the cooling rate of the core. You take a small, soft cloth and polish the glass dome, moving in slow, circular motions. You then take a tiny silver key and wind the movement. You feel the tension of the spring. 1 turn, 2 turns, 3. The tick-tick-tick of the timer is the only sound in the absolute silence of the observatory. You check the temperature gauge for the hull, 220 degrees Kelvin, stable. You sit back in your chair and look at the white dwarf. It is a monument to a life well lived, a dense and perfect remnant of a once great sun. You feel a profound sense of peace as you watch this tiny, brilliant jewel in the dark. The white dwarf is made of a strange form of matter known as degenerate gas. It is so dense that a single teaspoon of its material would weigh as much as an elephant. You think about this staggering weight as you perform your next task. You have a collection of mineral samples from different stages of the star's life, kept in small, labeled boxes made of cedar. You open the box containing the final carbon samples, tiny, synthetic diamonds, formed under the extreme pressure of the stellar interior. You pick one up with a pair of silver tweezers and hold it up to the light of the white dwarf. The crystal is cold and hard, refracting the blue-white light into 1,000 tiny sparks. You spend several minutes organizing these samples, placing them in a new velvet-lined display case. You move with deliberation, feeling the weight of the tweezers and the delicate click as you close each lid. This repetitive, tactile work anchors you to the reality of the cabin. The smell of the cedar wood is faint and pleasant, mixing with the clean scent of the filtered air. You are the curator of a fossilized star holding the remains of a sun in the palm of your hand. Outside, the nebula continues to fade, but inside, your collection is complete and secure. The transition is complete. The planetary nebula has vanished into the great dark of the interstellar void, seeding the galaxy with the carbon and oxygen necessary for future worlds. What remains is the white dwarf, sitting in an eternal, silent equilibrium. It will never explode, it will never collapse further. It will simply exist, a quiet sentinel in the dark. You stand at the viewport one last time, looking out at the vast empty space where a great molecular cloud once stood. The cycle has come to an end, and the universe is slightly richer for it. You walk to your desk and prepare to close the day's log. You pick up your pen and write the final entry. The light is constant, the remnant is still, the watch is complete. You close the heavy leather cover of the ledger and feel the weight of the history you have witnessed. You walk to the light switch and turn it off, leaving the room illuminated only by the faint, distant glow of the white dwarf. You move to your bed and pull the heavy wool blankets up to your chin. The texture of the fabric is soft and comforting. You listen to the rhythmic, quiet breathing of the observatory's life support. You are safe. You are at rest. The star is sleeping, and so shall you. You are observing a star much larger and more temperamental than the sun we previously watched. This star is a blue supergiant, and its life has been measured in millions of years, not billions. Through the reinforced quartz of your viewport, The light is a harsh, ultraviolet blue. Inside the core of this titan, the fusion of elements has reached a terrifying and final boundary. The star has fused hydrogen into helium, carbon into oxygen, and neon into silicon. Now, it is fusing silicon into iron. You look at your primary sensor array and notice a cold, ominous stillness. Iron is the ultimate dead end of stellar physics. To fuse iron does not release energy, it consumes it. You must now perform a critical maintenance task to prepare for the sudden structural failure of the star. You walk to the secondary bulkhead door, which is made of 8 inches of solid, lead-shielded steel. You take a heavy iron key from your belt and insert it into the lock. You turn it slowly, feeling the immense weight of the internal tumblers as they slide into place. The clack-clunk of the mechanism echoes through the silent chamber. You are sealing yourself within the inner sanctuary of the observatory. The air here is pressurized and smells of dry copper and old electricity. You check the gauge on the wall. 100% integrity. You are safe. Outside, the star has only 1 day left to live. The iron core is growing, and the support system of the sun is about to vanish. The iron core has reached the Chandrasekhar limit, 1.4 times the mass of your home sun. In a single millisecond, the support of nuclear fusion disappears completely. You feel a deep, subsonic vibration through the floor of the observatory. It is not a sound, but a physical sensation that rattles the bones in your chest. Gravity has won. The core of the star, a sphere the size of the Earth, collapses inward until it is no longer than 15 kilometers across. The outer layers of the star begin to fall into the vacuum left behind, rushing inward at 25% the speed of light. You move to your desk to stabilize the seismic recording equipment. You have a series of brass weights used to balance the delicate needles of the seismograph. You pick up a 100-gram weight. It is cool and heavy in your palm. You place it onto the balance arm with a steady hand, watching as the needle centers itself on the rotating drum of paper. You focus on the rhythmic scritch-scritch of the pen as it records the collapse of a world. The movement is precise and calming. You take a slow, deep breath, tasting the cool, filtered air. You are the only witness to the structural failure of a giant. The light from the viewport has dimmed to a strange, ghostly violet as the star prepares for its final rebound. The inward-falling layers of the star hit the ultra-dense iron core and bounce. This creates a shockwave of such incredible power that it tears the star apart from the inside out. You witness the supernova. It is a silent, all-consuming whiteout of light that penetrates even your heavy lead shutters. The observatory is bathed in a radiance that is brighter than 1 billion suns. You feel the physical pressure of the neutrino wave passing through the ship, a strange, tingly sensation that makes the hair on your arms stand up. You must now activate the high-density shielding. You reach for a large red-handled lever on the main console. You pull it down with a slow, deliberate motion. You feel the resistance of the heavy cables as they pull the external armor plates across the viewport. The thud of the plates locking together is the most satisfying sound you have ever heard. You are now encased in a tomb of safety, while the star outside is transformed into the greatest explosion in the universe. You sit back in your velvet chair and listen to the silence. The light sensors on your dashboard have peaked at their maximum values. You take a sip of cool water from a silver chalice, focusing on the texture of the metal and the temperature of the liquid. You are shielded. You are isolated. You are safe. In the heat of the supernova, the universe is performing its final act of alchemy. The extreme temperature and pressure allow for the creation of elements heavier than iron, elements that can exist nowhere else. You are watching the birth of gold, silver, and uranium. The debris of the star is being scattered across the galaxy, carrying the seeds of future worlds and the very atoms that will one day make up the blood and bone of living things. The light behind the shutters has shifted from white to a shimmering kaleidoscope of colors: vibrant oranges, deep blues, and brilliant golds. You decide to organize your mineral drawer to mark this occasion. You have a collection of small wooden boxes, each containing a different element. You pick up the box labeled gold. You open the lid and look at the soft, yellow metal. You use a small brush to clean the dust from the edges of the box, moving in slow, rhythmic sweeps. You focus on the contrast between the dark wood and the bright metal. This gold was born in an explosion, exactly like the one happening outside your door. You place the box back into its slot and slide the drawer shut. The click of the latch is quiet and final. The smell of the cedar wood lingers in the air, mixing with the faint scent of ozone. You are a collector of stardust, and your collection has just been replenished by the death of a king. The explosion has cleared, leaving behind a glowing nebula of gas that will expand for thousands of years. But at the very center of the blast, something remains. It is a neutron star, a tiny, incredibly dense orb that spins hundreds of times every second. You open your shutters and look out at the remnant. It is a brilliant, blue-white spark that emits a rhythmic chirp of radio waves. You hear this sound through your audio monitors, a steady, hypnotic beep, 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 that marks the pulse of a dead star. It is the most accurate clock in the universe. You walk to your long case clock and prepare for the final winding of the watch. You take the heavy iron key and insert it into the face of the clock. You turn it slowly, feeling the tension of the weights as they are lifted. 1 turn, 2 turns, 3. You synchronize the time with the pulse of the neutron star. You are in perfect harmony with the cosmos. You sit down at your desk and open your logbook for the final entry of this watch. You write out the words, "The cycle is complete," in a slow, steady hand. You close the book and feel the weight of the leather cover. You turn out the lamps, leaving the room illuminated only by the rhythmic flash of the pulsar. You climb into your bed and listen to the steady beep of the star. You are safe. You are at rest. The universe is in balance. You are now holding your position near the core of the supernova remnant. What remains is not a star of light, but a magnetar, a type of neutron star with a magnetic field so powerful that it warps the very atoms of your ship. You do not feel the field directly, but you see its influence on the shimmering aurorae that dance across the hull. These are curtains of violet and ghostly white, swirling in the void like silk ribbons caught in a silent breeze. The audio monitors in your cabin are filled with a rhythmic crackling sound, the song of the magnetic lines snapping and reforming in the dark. You move to the radio receiver at the back of the room. It is a heavy, rectangular unit with a face of brushed aluminum and a single amber-lit frequency dial. It is time for a maintenance loop. You take a soft, dry cloth and begin to wipe the dust from the glass of the dial. You move in slow, horizontal strokes, focusing on the way the amber light catches the fine fibers of the fabric. Once the glass is clear, you reach for the main tuning knob. It is made of cold, knurled metal. You turn it slowly, feeling the mechanical resistance of the internal gears. You are searching for the precise frequency of the magnetar's pulse. 1 notch, 2 notches, 3. The crackling sound becomes a steady, rhythmic thrum. You have found the heartbeat of the remnant. You sit back and listen to the pulse, feeling the safety of your shielded cabin. The air is cool and smells faintly of dry electricity. The journey of the star has reached its most extreme conclusion. In this sector of space, the mass of the original sun was so great that not even a neutron star could hold back the weight of gravity. The core has collapsed into a singularity, a black hole. You look out from the observation deck and see a perfect circle of absolute blackness, draped in a shimmering, spinning disk of captured light. This is the accretion disk, a ring of superheated gas that glows with a fierce golden brilliance. It is the last light that these atoms will ever emit before they vanish into the dark forever. You turn your attention to your writing desk. You have a heavy, silver-capped fountain pen that needs to be refilled. You unscrew the barrel of the pen, Feeling the smooth threads of the metal against your fingers, you pick up a glass bottle of deep black ink. You unscrew the cap and place the nib of the pen into the liquid. You slowly turn the piston, watching as the black ink rises into the reservoir. You are focused on the steady, liquid movement. Once the pen is full, you wipe the nib with a small piece of blotting paper. You are preparing to record the final coordinates of the event horizon. The light from the disc outside spills into the room, casting a golden glow over your leather-bound journal. You are safe. You are a witness at the edge of the world, documented in the quiet stillness of your station. Time is behaving strangely in the presence of the singularity. Because the gravity here is so intense, the very fabric of space and time is being stretched. To an observer far away, your ship would appear to be moving in slow motion, frozen in a single moment of history. But inside your sanctuary, everything remains constant. You watch the second hand of the long case clock as it moves with its familiar mechanical tick. You are existing in a pocket of preserved time, a bubble of normalcy at the edge of the infinite. You move to the atomic clock on the primary wall. It is a sophisticated instrument housed in a casing of dark mahogany and brass. You must calibrate it against the ship's internal chronometer to account for the gravitational time dilation. You take a small, silver-handled stylus and begin to adjust the digital offset. 1 millisecond, 2 milliseconds, 3. The task requires your full concentration, a repetitive and precise alignment of numbers. You listen to the soft beep of the interface as each value is confirmed. The room is quiet, save for the rhythmic breathing of the ventilation system. You take a slow, deep breath, feeling the air fill your lungs and then leave them. You are steady. You are grounded. Outside, the universe is warping and bending, but here, in your chair, every second is exactly as it should be. The long watch is coming to its natural end. The star you have followed from its birth in the molecular cloud has been transformed into a shadow, and the nebula it shed has drifted away to become the seeds of new worlds. It is time for the final inventory of your station. You stand up and walk to the storage cabinets. You open the first drawer and begin to count the remaining sample vials. You touch each one, feeling the cold glass and the smooth cork stoppers. 1, 2, 3. You are ensuring that every piece of data is accounted for. You take your satchel from the hook on the wall. It is made of thick, brown leather that has softened with age. You place your fountain pen, your stylus, and your small brass-handled tools inside. You check the buckles, feeling the grain of the leather beneath your thumbs. You pull the straps tight, hearing the soft creak of the material. You move to the pantry and check your remaining supplies. Water, rations, tea. Everything is in its place. You are a solitary traveler, but your sanctuary is fully stocked and perfectly organized. You have completed your duties. You have watched the life and death of a son, and now your work is done. You feel a profound sense of satisfaction as you look around the tidy, quiet room. The smell of the cedar cabinets is warm and comforting. You return to your primary observation window. The black hole is a silent sentinel in the dark, and the distant stars are flickering like tiny, ancient diamonds. The universe is transitioning into a long, quiet era. You reach for the final control on your dashboard, the master dimmer for the cabin lights. You turn the knurled knob slowly to the left. You watch as the warm, amber light of the lamps fades into a soft violet twilight. The shadows in the room become deep and gentle, blurring the edges of the furniture. You walk to your bed and pull back the heavy wool blankets. The fabric is thick and carries the faint scent of lavender and sun-warmed air. You sit on the edge of the mattress and take a final look at the viewport. The tick-tick-tick of the clock is slow and hypnotic, matching the rhythm of your own pulse. You lie back, feeling the weight of your body sink into the soft, supportive mattress. You pull the blankets up to your chin, feeling the warmth they trap. You are safe. You are at peace. You have seen the beginning and the end, and now it is time for rest. You close your eyes, letting the rhythmic thrum of the observatory carry you away. The star is gone, the dark is kind, and the journey is complete. Sleep now, traveler, sleep.